A black single father woke up one quiet morning in his small home, and the woman standing in his kitchen left him frozen. She was wearing his white shirt, her legs bare, her hands shaking around a cup she could hardly hold, and the fear in her eyes felt heavy, like she was carrying something too dangerous for one person to hold alone. Marcus did not know her name. He did not know how she entered his house, but he could tell she had been through something that stole her sleep and pushed her spirit to the edge. Before he could open his mouth to ask who she was, she stepped closer, her voice soft, unsteady, and filled with worry. She told him what happened on the road the night before was no simple accident, and because he helped her, his life and the life of his little boy might now be caught in the middle of something far bigger than he ever imagined. Stay with us. This story will touch your heart and keep you watching. And while you are here, remember to subscribe so you never miss stories like this. The morning light was soft inside the small house, the kind of light that usually made Marcus feel calm, but not today. He sat up slowly, his body tired from the long night shift, and for a moment he thought he was still dreaming. The room felt strange, too quiet, too still, like something was waiting for him to notice it. He rubbed his eyes, letting the sleep clear from his mind, and then he heard it, a soft sound coming from the kitchen. At first, he thought it was Jaden, his 8-year-old son, maybe searching for cereal or water. But the footsteps were too light, too careful. Marcus turned his head, and that was the moment everything inside him paused. A woman was standing in his kitchen, her back slightly turned toward him. She was wearing his white shirt, the one he used for church on Sundays, the one he never let anyone touch. It hung loosely on her body, reaching almost to her knees, and her bare legs were visible under the hem. Her hair was messy, her posture weak, her hands shaking as she tried to pour water into a cup. Marcus froze. He did not move, he barely breathed, and his mind struggled to understand what he was seeing. His house was always locked at night. No one ever came in. He lived in a quiet corner of Brooksville, where people kept to themselves and danger rarely came close. Yet here she was, a stranger in his shirt, moving inside his kitchen like she belonged there. The woman turned slowly when she felt his eyes on her. Her face was pale from exhaustion, and her eyes looked heavy, like she had carried fear for too many hours. For a moment she stared at him without speaking, and Marcus felt something inside him tighten. He wanted to ask who she was, how she came into his home, and why she looked so troubled, but the words stayed stuck in his throat. The woman swallowed, her hand gripping the edge of the counter so she would not fall. She took a shaky breath and then whispered, "You helped me last night." Her voice was soft, almost broken, like she was still fighting tears she refused to let fall. "You brought me here." Marcus blinked, trying to form a memory, but all he remembered from last night was the rain, the slippery road, and the long drive home after cleaning office floors until sunrise. He did remember seeing something by the river bridge, a car with its lights flickering, but everything after that was a blur. He had been so tired he could barely keep his eyes open, yet he must have stopped, he must have helped her, because she was here, and she would not lie about something like that. Before he could speak, she stepped closer, her voice trembling with worry. "What happened on that road was not a normal accident," she said, choosing each word slowly, like she did not want to scare him but needed him to understand. "Someone wanted to stop me, and because you were the one who helped me, you and your little boy may now be caught in something you never asked for." Her words settled inside the room like a heavy shadow. Marcus felt his stomach tighten. He looked toward the hallway where Jaden was still asleep, unaware that a stranger had entered their home, unaware that something dangerous might have followed her. "Ma'am," Marcus finally said, his voice quiet and careful, "I do not understand what you mean." He stood from the couch slowly, not wanting to startle her, and walked a few steps closer. "You said I helped you, but I do not remember much. I came home tired. I sat down for a moment, then everything went dark. The woman nodded. You were exhausted, she said. You carried me from the car, put me inside your truck, and drove here through the storm. You kept checking my breathing all night. You did not leave my side. She looked at him like she had never experienced that kind of kindness before. Marcus glanced at her again, noticing the bruises on her arm, the small cut near her temple that looked like it had been cleaned carefully. He must have done that too, though he had no clear memory of it. He had acted on instinct, the same instinct that guided him when he taught Jaden to be kind, even when the world was unkind to them. Why were you on that road? Marcus asked quietly. What happened to you? The woman breathed in slowly, trying to gather strength. I cannot explain everything now, she said, her voice low. I need a moment to think, to remember how much I told you last night. But please, believe me, what happened was not random. Someone wanted to stop me from reaching someone I trust. Marcus felt a cold worry sink into his chest. He had lived a simple life for years, avoiding trouble, avoiding risk, avoiding anything that looked like danger. Ever since he lost his dream of becoming an architect, he had learned to protect the little he had left. All he ever wanted was a quiet life with his son, free from fear. The woman looked around the house slowly, almost with sadness. You have a peaceful home, she whispered. I did not want to bring my problems here. Before Marcus could respond, small footsteps came from the hallway. Jaden appeared, rubbing his eyes, his hair messy, his little blanket dragging behind him. He looked at the woman, then at his father, and whispered, Daddy, is she okay? The woman knelt down carefully, her smile soft, her eyes gentle in a way Marcus had not seen until now. I am okay, she said quietly. Thanks to your dad. Jaden stepped closer without fear, something that surprised Marcus, because Jaden never trusted strangers. Are you hungry? Jaden asked, his voice small and kind. The woman nodded slowly, moved by his sweetness. A little, she whispered. Marcus watched them, a strange feeling building in his chest, something between worry and something he could not yet name. He looked at the woman again, then at his son, and he knew his life was about to change. Far away, outside the house, a dark car turned the corner and slowed down. The day had just begun. The morning settled slowly over Brooksville. Yet inside Marcus's small home, nothing felt calm. The woman sat at the small dining table now, her fingers pressed together, her eyes watching the window like she expected something to appear at any moment. Marcus moved quietly around the kitchen, trying to think, trying to breathe, trying to understand how his life could change in one night without any warning. Jaden sat beside her, eating a simple bowl of cereal. He kept looking at her with curiosity, like she was someone he wanted to help, someone who needed gentle company. Marcus kept glancing at his son, worried that this stranger had already become too close, worried that danger might follow her into their world. My name is Elena, the woman finally said, her voice soft, calm, but tired. Elena Cross. Marcus stopped moving. The name felt familiar. He had heard it on the radio at work, seen it printed on the front of newspapers stacked beside the vending machine. Elena Cross, the CEO of Crossline Technologies, a company so powerful people treated her like she lived in a different world. A woman who made decisions that shaped the economy. A woman who never appeared in places like his neighborhood. And now she was sitting at his table, wearing his shirt, eating breakfast beside his son. Marcus felt something heavy settle in his chest. He was not ready for this. He was a janitor who cleaned floors until sunrise. He lived paycheck to paycheck. He kept his head down. He avoided trouble. People from her world did not walk into his life unless something serious was happening. I know who you are, Marcus said quietly, trying to keep his voice steady. I have seen you on the news. Elena lowered her eyes, almost embarrassed. almost ashamed. "Yes," she said. "I guessed you might have recognized me." Jaden looked between them, confused. "Is she famous?" he asked, his voice small and honest. Marcus nodded slowly. "Something like that," he whispered. Elena watched Jaden for a moment, her face softening. "I am not here as a famous person," she said gently. "Right now I am just someone who needed help." Marcus looked away, unsure how to respond. He poured a small cup of tea and sat across from her. "You said what happened last night was not an accident," he said, speaking slowly. "I need you to explain what that means." Elena took a deep breath, her hands tightening slightly. "I had something important with me," she said. "Something I needed to deliver to someone I trust. I did not tell my driver. I did not tell my assistant. I did not tell anyone. I left my office quietly, using a car that was not registered to me." She paused, her voice shaking a little. "I was trying to reach a safe place when another car came behind me. It followed me for a long time, getting closer and closer. I tried to change lanes, I tried to slow down, but it stayed with me. When I reached the bridge, I felt a strong hit from the back of my car. Everything spun. I do not remember the moment the car stopped. I only remember waking up to your voice and your hands trying to pull me out." Marcus felt his stomach twist. He did not want to imagine how scared she must have been. He looked at her quietly and asked, "Why come here? Why bring this to my home?" Elena shook her head slowly. "You did that," she said. "You brought me here because the storm blocked the roads and I could not walk. I was barely conscious. You told me you could not leave me in the rain. You said you did not want to risk me passing out again." Jaden smiled softly. "Daddy helps people," he whispered. Elena looked at the little boy with gentle eyes. "Yes, he does." Marcus did not know how to respond. He felt both proud and afraid. Helping her was the right thing to do, but now he wondered if he had opened a door he could not close. A soft sound outside made Elena tense. She turned toward the window quickly, her breath catching in her throat. Marcus stood and followed her gaze. A dark SUV was parked near the end of the street. The windows were tinted, the engine running quietly. Marcus felt a cold wave run through him. "That car," he said quietly. "It was not here before you woke up." Elena stood slowly, her hands shaking again. Jaden looked scared for the first time since she arrived. Marcus walked to the door and locked it carefully. The room felt smaller now, the air heavy with worry. "You said someone might be looking for you," Marcus said. "Are you saying they found you already?" Elena shook her head, her voice low. "I do not know," she whispered. "It could be nothing, or it could be someone waiting to see where I am." Marcus stared at her, feeling his heart tighten. He could not understand how one night had brought so much fear into his home. He wanted to protect his son, he wanted to protect himself, yet he had helped her, and he could not turn his back on her now. "We cannot stay here," Elena said suddenly, her voice trembling. "If someone is watching, they might come closer. I cannot let that happen. You have a child." Marcus looked at her closely. She was shaking. He could tell she did not want to put them in danger, but she had no place else to go. The roads were still muddy from the storm. Her phone was damaged. She was alone. "Where do you want to go?" Marcus asked. Elena hesitated. "I cannot go to my home," she said. "I cannot go to my office. There are people there I cannot trust." Marcus understood. Her world was full of people hungry for power. If she said someone wanted to stop her, she knew what she was talking about. "We will wait," Marcus said quietly. "We will wait for the roads to clear. Then I will take you where you need to go." Elena looked at him like she had never heard such kindness. She nodded slowly, tears gathering in her eyes but refusing to fall. Jaden reached for her hand. "You can stay here till you feel safe," he said softly. Elena smiled, a small, painful smile. "Thank you," she whispered. "Both of you." Outside, the dark SUV stayed parked, silent and still. Inside the small house, the danger felt closer than any of them wanted to admit. The day was far from over. The dark SUV stayed on the street for most of the morning, and with every passing hour, the tension inside the small house grew heavier. Marcus checked the window again and again, each time hoping the car would leave. Each time seeing it still there, silent, still, watching. Jayden stayed close to him, sensing the fear even though no one said it out loud. Elena tried to stay calm, but her hands kept shaking and her breathing was uneven, like every moment pulled her back to the memory of the bridge. By noon, the roads began to dry, and Marcus knew they could not stay in the house much longer. He stood near the window one last time, watching the SUV, watching the still figure inside, then stepped back with a slow breath. "We need to move," he said quietly. "We cannot stay here waiting for trouble." Elena nodded without hesitation. She looked exhausted, but ready. "I know where we should go," she said. "There is someone I trust. Not many, but this one person can help us." Marcus grabbed his truck keys, the same old keys with the scratched silver ring Jayden had given him for Father's Day. He walked to his son, lifting the small backpack they kept ready for emergencies. He made sure Jayden had water, an extra shirt, and his little toy car that helped him feel brave. Then he turned to Elena. "You sure you can walk to the truck?" he asked gently. Elena nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "I will be fine." They stepped outside together. The air felt colder than usual, quiet in a strange way. Marcus locked the door behind him, and they walked slowly toward the truck. The SUV did not move at first, but as soon as they reached the truck door, the engine started. Marcus felt a chill run through him. Jayden grabbed his father's hand, squeezing tightly. "Daddy," Jayden whispered, "they are watching us." "I know, son," Marcus said gently. "Just stay close." Marcus helped Elena into the truck, her movements slow and careful. He placed Jayden in the back seat, buckled him in, then climbed into the driver's seat. The moment he started the engine, the SUV pulled forward, driving slowly behind them. Not close enough to touch, but close enough to remind him they were not alone. Marcus swallowed his fear and drove out of Brooksville, staying calm, staying steady, not wanting to show panic in front of his son. The road was long and quiet, the sky still gray from last night's storm. Trees lined both sides, shaking lightly with the morning wind. Jayden looked out the window, small worry lines appearing on his forehead. Elena sat silently, her fingers pressed together, her breathing slow and tight. "Where are we going?" Marcus asked, keeping his eyes on the road. Elena took a moment before she answered. "There is a private office outside the city," she said softly. "It belongs to an investigator who has helped me before. I was trying to reach him when the crash happened. He can keep us hidden until I understand everything." Marcus nodded. "And the person following us," he said carefully, "you think they know about that?" Elena closed her eyes for a moment. "They might," she whispered. "I do not know how much they know, but I do know one thing. I cannot let them reach us first." The SUV stayed behind them, not speeding, not honking, just holding the same distance like a shadow glued to the road. Marcus kept driving, his hands firm on the wheel. He remembered nights when he used to drive long distances with hope in his heart, not fear. Nights when he would plan designs for the small architecture business he hoped to build. Those dreams felt far away now, replaced by long shifts, tired bones, and a determination to protect his son at all costs. After almost an hour, they reached the outskirts of the city. The roads became wider, the air smelled cleaner, and fewer cars passed by. The SUV finally turned away at a distant intersection, disappearing behind a row of old factories. Marcus let out a slow breath of relief. Jayden leaned forward from the back seat. "Did they stop following us, Daddy?" "For now," Marcus said gently. But we must keep going. Elena looked out the window, her face softening. Thank you, she whispered. Most people would have let me handle this alone. You did not. Marcus shook his head. You were hurt, he said. Anyone would have helped you. Elena looked at him with sad eyes. No, she said quietly. Not everyone would risk their child and themselves for a stranger. Marcus did not respond. His heart was gentle by nature, but he also knew the world did not always treat black men with kindness, especially men like him who lived quietly and stayed out of sight. He helped her because it was the right thing, but he also wondered if this choice would cost him more than he could handle. They finally reached a small building hidden behind tall trees. It did not look like an office. It looked like an old library, with brick walls, a quiet porch, and no name on the front door. Elena breathed out slowly, like she had been holding her breath for the entire drive. This is it, she whispered. We will be safe here. Marcus parked the truck, helping Jaden step down. Elena followed, her steps careful but stronger now. They walked toward the door, and before they could knock, it opened from the inside. A tall man with a calm face stood there. His hair was gray at the edges, his eyes sharp but kind. He looked at Elena first, then at Marcus, then at the child holding Marcus's hand. You made it, the man said quietly. I was worried. Elena nodded. We had trouble, she said. But he helped me. The man stepped aside. Come in, he said. We must talk. They entered the quiet building. The door closed behind them, shutting out the outside world, shutting out the worries that chased them. Marcus felt Jaden squeeze his hand again. Daddy, Jaden whispered, are we safe now? Marcus knelt beside him, touching his face gently. We are trying our best, he said. We stay together, and we stay strong. Elena watched them from across the room. For the first time since she woke up in his home, she felt something warm inside her, something that softened her fear. She had spent her entire life fighting alone, walking alone, trusting no one, but now she saw a father who protected his child with everything in him, and it touched something deep inside her. This was the first place she had felt safe in a long time. But outside, unseen by them, a message was sent to someone who did not plan to let her disappear so easily. The danger was not over. The inside of the quiet building felt calm, almost too calm for the fear they carried inside their hearts. The investigator led them to a small office with soft lighting and thick curtains that blocked the sun. The place looked old but safe. The kind of place where a person could sit and breathe without looking over their shoulder every second. Elena sat down slowly, her fingers still shaking, while Marcus stayed beside Jaden, his hand resting gently on his son's shoulder. The investigator waited until everyone sat, then closed the door and locked it. He walked to the desk and placed a small folder in front of Elena. I am glad you came, he said. I was expecting you last night. Elena nodded. I tried, she whispered. But I never reached you. He looked at her closely. What happened? She breathed in slowly, trying to keep her voice steady. Someone came after me on the road. I was carrying something important, something that could expose the people trying to harm the company. They did not want me to reach you. The car forced me into danger. I do not remember everything, but I remember the fear. I remember the road spinning, and I remember this man pulling me out before the car slid too far. The investigator turned to Marcus, his eyes serious but respectful. You risked a lot, he said. Most people would have kept driving. Marcus shook his head. She needed help, he replied simply. That is what mattered. The investigator nodded and turned back to Elena. Did you bring the device? He asked. Elena froze. No, she whispered. I lost the bag in the crash. I thought everything inside it washed away. The investigator frowned. Without it, we have no proof, he said. We need something solid to expose the people behind this. Marcus looked down, trying to piece together the memories from the stormy night. He remembered lifting her from the back seat. He remembered something small pressing against his leg. He remembered his fingers brushing something cold and metal inside the car. Slowly he looked up. "Wait," he said quietly. "Let me check something." He left the office and walked back to his truck. He opened the back door and lifted the old blanket he kept for emergencies. Under it, near the corner of the seat, was a tiny black device, no bigger than his hand. It looked simple, but something about it felt important. His heart picked up speed. He picked it up gently and walked back inside. Elena stood when he entered. "Marcus," she whispered, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Is that?" Marcus handed it to her slowly. "I think I pulled it out with you," he said. "I did not know what it was. I placed it there and forgot." Elena held the device like it was something fragile. Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked them away. "You have no idea what this means," she whispered. "This is everything. This holds every detail of the plan to take over the company, every false document, every hidden message. With this, I can clear my name and protect the people working under me." The investigator opened the device carefully. He connected it to a small laptop and checked the files. His eyes widened slowly. "This is real," he said quietly. "This is enough to bring the truth out." Before anyone could celebrate, the building suddenly shook with a loud bang at the front door. The sound echoed through the hallway, sharp and heavy, like someone was trying to break in. Jayden grabbed Marcus's hand tightly. Elena's breath caught in her throat. The investigator stood quickly and closed the laptop. "That sound," Elena whispered. "They found us." Marcus felt his hands go cold. He looked at his son, then at Elena, then at the closed door. He knew fear, but this moment felt different. He could not run, he could not hide. He had people to protect. The investigator pointed toward a small back hallway. "There is a hidden room," he said. "Take the boy and Elena. Stay quiet until I tell you to move." Marcus led them quickly into the hallway. Elena stayed close behind him, her hand gently touching Jayden's back. They entered a narrow room with thick walls and a small door that blended into the frame. Marcus closed it softly. Inside the room, the light was dim. The space was small, just enough for the three of them. Marcus knelt beside Jayden, holding him close. "Daddy," Jayden whispered. "Are we in trouble?" Marcus kissed the top of his head. "No," he said softly. "We are together. That is what matters." Elena watched them with tears in her eyes. She had built her life alone, trusting no one, believing that strength came only from cold distance. But seeing Marcus hold his son with so much love touched something deep inside her. She moved closer, her voice soft. "I am sorry," she whispered to Marcus. "I never wanted you or your child to face this." Marcus looked at her. "You did not bring danger," he said gently. "You brought truth. Sometimes truth comes with trouble." They waited in silence while muffled voices filled the building. Heavy footsteps moved through the halls. Marcus held Jayden close and kept his other hand beside Elena, ready to shield both of them if he had to. After a long moment, the sound faded. The investigator opened the hidden door quietly. "They looked around but did not find us," he whispered. "We must leave now. I will take this device to a secure place and expose everything. You three need a safe spot." Elena nodded. "I know where to go," she said softly. "Follow me." They left the building through the back exit. Marcus lifted Jayden into the truck. Elena climbed in beside them. The investigator handed her the device. "This will change everything," he said. Elena reached for Marcus's hand. "You saved me," she whispered. "You saved the truth." Marcus met her eyes. There was something new there, something warm, something that connected them without words. They drove for hours until Elena brought them to a private penthouse at the top of a tall building. It was quiet, clean, and safe. When they entered, Marcus laid Jaden on the soft couch, watching him fall asleep fast from all the fear. Elena stood behind Marcus quietly, her voice soft. "Marcus," she said, "I have been strong my whole life, but today I realize something. I do not want to stand alone anymore." Marcus turned slowly. She looked into his eyes, her voice trembling. "I want a family. I want you and Jaden in my life. Not because you saved me, but because you made me feel something I thought I lost. I choose you, if you will have me." Marcus felt something warm fill his chest, something he had not allowed himself to feel for years. He lifted her hand gently. For the first time, he allowed himself to dream again. The danger was over, but something beautiful was just beginning. Dear viewers, this story shows us that life can change in one moment, and sometimes the people we never expected to meet become the ones who save us. Marcus lived a simple life, but his kindness protected a woman who had the whole world watching her. Elena carried power and fear in her heart, but she found peace in a home that had nothing except love and honesty. Their story reminds us that real family is built through courage, trust, and standing together when life becomes heavy. If this story touched your heart, tell us in the comments where you are watching from and what you learned today. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and if you want more emotional stories from us, type more stories in the comments section. Before you go, answer these 3 questions for us. 1. What would you have done if you found a stranger in danger like Marcus did? 2. Do you believe kindness from one person can change someone's whole life? 3. Which moment in this story touched your heart the most? We look forward to reading your answers.